Hello there, Virgo. Thank you so much for stopping by for your in-depth video taroscope for the month of June. I am breaking the month down into two different segments. And so first we're going to look at June the 1st through the 14th for you. And then after that, we'll look at June the 15th through the 30th. So what do we have coming up first off? This talks to me about your environment. And your environment is any place where you have energy or effort invested. And what I'm seeing is that in your environment, you are doing a lot of teaching or mentoring or tutoring. There is somebody around that you are passing along good advice to in your environment. Now, this can be home. This can be teaching your little one how to tie his shoe or her shoe. This can be at work too, where you're putting somebody through, just letting them know how everything works at work. This can be a lot of different things. So it doesn't have to be, just the home environment. It could be any environment, all right? Now, the second thing that we're looking at talks to me about the idea of subconscious leanings for you. And what we have coming up is that I think that you've received some kind of good news or some kind of go-ahead that you don't really trust. And so your subconscious is working around this whole situation, trying to sort out really like why it is that you don't really trust this, and just really trying to sort out what's the best thing to do with this. I think that you would like to go ahead with this if you felt more comfortable, but that not feeling comfortable about it is something that has your subconscious sort of clocking in on the overtime, trying to figure out the best way to handle that. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about two different things: your learning style during this time frame and also communication style. So learning style, I do think you're picking up a lot of new information, and I think it's coming to you pretty directly, pretty easily, pretty smoothly. I don't feel like you're having to really dig this information out of anywhere or pry it away from anybody. You just have a lot of information coming to you very easily. As far as your communication style, I think that during this time frame, you're communicating in a more subtle way. I do think you're communicating a lot to a lot of different people, but I think that you are communicating about some of the fine details. And there are there's two paths that are showing up here. For some of you, you're communicating about really fine details and just really intricate things. But for others of you, I think you're dropping hints about things rather than being very direct in your communication. Okay? Now, next we're looking at work. All right, so it looks like when it comes to work, some of you may be taking whatever kind of projects or jobs come along. So those of you who have been looking for work, maybe you're taking temporary work and you're getting different things that, you're doing some type of work that I think you said before, you know what, I'm not doing this. Okay? This makes me think of a movie I saw recently. I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, this lady was working for some chick whose dog needed her anal glands expressed or something like that. I may not have the exact word of the glands right, but anyway, this lady, actually did that, like not because her job had anything to do with animals or pets, but because she was this lady's personal assistant and because she wanted to keep the job, she did that. And so this is kind of what is coming up for me as I'm looking at this card for you guys when it comes to work. I think you're doing something that you never really imagined yourself doing for work before. And so you could be taking a job that you never thought you would work, or you could be working on a project that you thought you would never work on. But there's something about standards that you used to have in the type of work that you would accept before are not as high as they once were. Okay, let's say that. Now, next thing that we're looking at here, Virgo, talks to me about that part of your personality which is growing or expanding right now. I do think that a lot of you are learning new things. A lot of you are students of something, whether you're learning in a self-directed type of way, or whether you've enrolled in a class or a seminar or a workshop, there is something new that you are learning, new information that you're learning. And I think that this new information is something that you're expecting to be able to use in the workplace for most of you. Now, next thing we're looking at is something that you stand for, and then we're going to look at well, let's back up. The something that you stand for is something that somebody's going to ask you to explain or maybe even defend. They may confront you about this. And so we're going to look at whatever it is that they're confronting you about, whatever it is that you're standing for. And then we're also going to look at how this other person views you after you've made this explanation. So it looks like somebody is asking you to explain or confronting you about the idea that you're holding off on something, you're waiting, you're taking some time to really think it through, to do your due diligence, to make sure that you're making the best decision possible. All right? And how this other person sees you and the situation after you guys have had the communication about it is they see you as somebody who is a really good partner for them. So whether you guys are actually partners right now, or whether they are thinking because of what they're seeing that they would like to be partners with you, either way, they're showing that you're good partner material. Okay, you have good partnership qualities as far as they're concerned. Now, the next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about the lesson or the experience that you're going through right now. And when I say right now, I mean this time frame. First part of June. And so I think that things are going really slow for you right now. Things that you're trying to manifest are just making slow, slow, slow progress. And so that's the experience or the lesson right now is, okay, well, what do I do if things aren't happening as quickly as I thought they would or as quickly as I had projected? At the same time that this is happening, I think that you are in a very independent headspace, if not very independent literally as well. And I think that you're pretty happy with the things that you have created, that you've worked on your own and that you've created already. And I really don't think that whatever this is moving slow. I don't think that it's not phasing you. I don't think that you're worried about it as it moves slow. I think you know that I think you're pretty well aware that once this breaks loose, after it gets through this slow point, there's going to be a point, a trigger point where it breaks loose. And once it breaks loose, everything's going to be fine. It's just making it through this slow point right now. And I don't think that the slow point is just bothering you at all. I think that you're just more or less taking it in stride, because besides being pretty happy with what you've created so far, you're also feeling very satisfied with the things that are going on in your life in general. Okay, that doesn't mean with every little thing, but more satisfied with things going on in your life than unsatisfied. And then where we see you at the end of this particular time frame, so when we're looking at is like right around the 12th through the 14th of June. It looks to me like there's something going on that you may be changing your mind about, something that you had set as a priority, as important to you. You may be changing your mind now and realizing that maybe that's not the most important thing after all. Maybe there's something else that I should have set as the priority, and making that adjustment, making that change. Okay? And I think that when you decide to do that, you're gonna change your perspective on that very quickly, actually, which I think that's kind of unusual for Virgos, but that's what I'm seeing anyway. So that is the first half of the month, Virgo. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to come back in a couple of seconds, and then we'll look at the 15th through the 30th. I'll see you in a sec. Bye. Okay, Virgos, we are back, and this time we're looking at the 15th through the 30th of June for you. The first thing that comes up is about your environment, and it's telling me that, actually this could be two things. What is it saying? I think that you may be ending something at your environment. It may be that you're retiring, it may be that you're moving house, but there is some type of ending that is happening at the environment. Maybe you are throwing away the old furniture that you can't stand anymore to get in new furniture that you love. I don't know. But definitely we see an ending, and when we have the end of a cycle, it's the beginning of a new cycle. So there's some type of ending that's happening in the environment. Maybe somebody that you work with is retiring. Maybe it's not you, but maybe it is, that would be the end of an era when somebody retires as well. So lots of different ways that this could be manifesting, but there is something that is ending having to do with your environment during this time frame. All right, now next thing I'm looking at talks to me about your subconscious leanings. And this is interesting that it comes up right after this with your environment. I don't know that it's necessarily related. It doesn't have to be, but it could be. It would make sense if it was. And this basically talks about that there's a chance to restart something. There's a chance to go back and pick up where you left off with something. And I think in your subconscious, you're not willing. You're not willing to restart or go back where you've picked up and go back or go back and pick up where you left off with something. So if this is an ending that happened in the environment, this could be saying that, you know what, I like this new cycle. I'm not going back to the old cycle. Or it could be something that's completely different going on in your life. And I think for some of you it is about this ending, and for others of you this is something else completely. I think we're getting about a 50-50 split there. Now, the next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about two things. Talks to me about your learning style during this time frame and also your communication style. So, learning style, I think you're actually doing some research on some things that may have been dreams of yours that you're starting to think, you know what, maybe I can make that into more than a dream. So there's a little bit of hope there. So I think you're doing some research on some things that you're hopeful about. As far as your communication style, I do think that there is a lot of communication going on that has to do with feelings, emotions, how you feel about things. And I feel like some people are able to hear you as you're talking about these things that you have so many feelings about, and other people, it's like you're just, talking to the wall. It's just falling on deaf ears. All right, so that's looking at learning and communication style. Next thing that we're looking at talks to me about work. I think when it comes to work right now, Virgos, you're feeling really annoyed about work. I don't think that you're enjoying work right now. This kind of makes sense with what we saw last time, where you were setting your standards lower than you had before for the type of work that you would be willing to do. And I think that, you're in this place where you're starting to get pretty fed up with some of the things that are happening at work. And I think you're on the verge of cutting something out, of putting those old standards back into place again, maybe even higher than they were before, potentially. But definitely fed up and frustrated is what I'm seeing there. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about that part of your personality, which is being grown or expanded right now. I think you are taking some time where you're not doing everything that you used to normally do, because you're taking some time to think something over really well and make sure that you've got the best perspective on it that you could possibly have. Next thing that I'm looking at, Virgo, talks to me about those things that you stand for. It looks like, is this Virgo or somebody else? It looks like you've been neglecting your health, Virgos. And this can manifest in a lot of ways. Maybe you've cut out your exercise routine. Maybe you've cut out vitamins. Maybe you're not eating as well as you know you should be. Maybe you're not watching your sugars if you're diabetic. There's something going on where you really haven't been taking care of your health as well as you know you need to. Okay, and so somebody has confronted you about this. For a lot of you, this is going to be one of your children that has confronted you about this, although that won't be true for everybody. For others of you, this will be a good friend. And I think that after they talk to you about this situation, how they feel is like you're going to start taking control of it, like you're not going to let it continue to go forward after you guys talk about it. Okay, that's their perspective, so maybe that's what you've told them. I hope that you were sincere when you said that. I would like you guys to be taking good care of yourselves out there. All right, though, moving on to the next thing, which has to do with your lesson or experience during this time frame, Virgo. It looks to me like there's something that you were collaborating or you were planning on collaborating with somebody on, and this other person is not able to come to the plate with everything that you guys need for this collaboration. And so now you find yourself in a situation where you're carrying this full load on your own. And I think that you are doing that successfully. I'm not saying that there's not a lot of extra work involved. I think there is, but I don't think that you're afraid of doing the extra work. And actually, I think you're kind of fascinated by the extra that you're picking up here. So I really don't feel like this is such a bad thing that you end up handling this on your own. I think that it's a fascinating experience for you and a little bit exhilarating once you get to the other side and you realize, wow, I pulled that off. Okay, so at the same time that all of this is going on, there is some kind of dispute or debate with somebody else. And I feel like this is probably the person that you thought you were going to be collaborating with, because even though they're not able to collaborate with you, they feel the need to be in charge of how you handle their part of things. And I think that you are looking at this as if, you know what, I've got some pretty good ideas here that I actually like better. And since you're not actually doing this here, buddy, I think I'm going to do it my way. And so there is this disagreement and this tension between you and this other person. And I think that even though they're not collaborating with you, even though you are the one putting in the energy and the effort, I think that it makes you feel a little bit bad that you guys aren't on the same page, that you're not getting along about this. I think you would like to not have this tension between the two of you as you're moving forward with whatever this project is, either way. And then once we get to the end of this particular life cycle, or more towards the end of the month, basically I see you really letting your creative juices flow. You may be doing some brainstorming, but you're really looking at a lot of different ideas right now that can help you move forward. And I think that you're not only looking at the ideas themselves, but also how could you make those happen and starting to put into action some of those steps to make some of those things happen that would help you move forward productively. And I do think that's taking a lot of energy, and I think it's also taken a lot of creativity as you do that. Okay? So that is your month, Virgo. Thank you so much for stopping by. I do appreciate it. Thank you also for all the thumbs ups on this video and for sharing this video with other people who may benefit from it as well. And of course, thank you to those of you buying private readings and private Reiki sessions. It is because of all of you guys' support at every single level that I get to do what I love to do for a living. So thank you very much. Everyone have a wonderful month, and I'll see you back on the next video if I don't see you for a private before then. Peace out.